a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Good evening, everybody. How is everybody this evening? I hope everybody's doing well on this lovely Monday evening. Welcome to Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. I am your hostess, Joni Skinner. And tonight, as on every Monday night, we bring you true crime. We bring you mysteries beyond the scenes and family interviews, search and rescue teams. Welcome everybody streaming live on the R.I.F.T Nation Network. Again, happy Monday. If you feel like your life is going 100 miles an hour today, stay tuned at 8 o'clock on the Otter's Den, and I'm going to explain why that's occurring. Because we are having major shifts up in the heavens, and probably the biggest shift of this year, 2023. So Keith will be joining us. He was held up a little bit at work. So if he's not here between the 7 and 8 o'clock hour, he will be on with his show, The Otter's Den, where I will be on at 8. We will explain why you might feel like you're either so tired you can't move, or you're going 100 miles an hour. That's for all the Aries and Aries risings out there. It's also for the fire signs. You should be feeling like you're going 10,000 miles an hour. And that's just the energy shift. There's a lot going on. I will explain it to you. But this evening, I wanted to tell you all too, next week, next Monday, 7 o'clock on Mysteries, the family of Valerie and Gorbaea will be on here. Yes, Howie O'Dell, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, running the Otter's Den. So are y'all rolling it through here, Otter's Den or separate? Through RNN, Otter's Den, streaming live on the R.I.F.T Nation Network. Did I say? I thought I said that. Well, Otter's Den streaming live on RNN through here. Yes. So next week we have a family of a gal that's been missing that we have featured here before, Valerie. We will have Tammy Johnson from Search and Rescue, Valerie's mother. Will be on here, Kathy, and we will find updates on her missing persons case, what's going on with any of her searches that are going on, and that'll be next Monday night. But what I wanted to do before we get into tonight's show, and tonight is a little bit different. Tonight's show, because we're asked this a lot, people don't know what's up, don't know what's down. I thought because we just had a birthday with the United States, July the 4th, we astrologers do what is called a solar return chart. So you can ask an astrologer to do on your birthday, pull up a chart, and that will give the astrologer an idea of what's ahead for the year. It's just another chart, another study. So I did that for America's chart. So on their birthday, July the 4th, I pulled up the solar return. We're going to look at that. We're also going to look at tonight our leaders and see what we can get out of their natal charts. So we are going to look at President Biden. We're going to look at Zelensky's chart, Putin's chart, and Trump's chart, all four of their natal charts. And you're going to be shocked to see what all four, well, three out of the four, have in common, very common with politicians and world leaders. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. I think it's a little bit exciting. It kind of can give us an idea of when we hear things about the leaders, why they act the way that they do, or um, why they why they don't act the way, or what are they hiding? What are they really like? What is that person? Because remember, the natal chart is what that person is. It's their map. It's their birth map. It's very interesting stuff. But first, I want to talk about in the true crime community. Let me pull this up here. We had a wonderful, wonderful last week. I don't know how familiar everybody is, of course, with the True Crime Channel, with the Long Island serial killer. There was an arrest. The Gilgo Beach investigation, where they have had a very quiet task force that included New York State Police, all of the county police officers, the FBI. They had a task force. And of course, the murders occurred in 2010, 2011. So everybody was like, why is it so quiet? If you don't recall this case, there were 13 unexplained remains and bodies that were found along a not very popular area of a Long Island beach. We do beat up law enforcement. Not really, but we have been known to. But I have to give kudos to this task force. Number one, they kept the grand jury indictment and what was going on in front of the grand jury completely secret. Number two, it didn't get leaked out. None of this. They were surveying this guy for a long time, 6 months to a year prior to his arrest. I will get more details as they unfold. They gave a press release. It's on YouTube. It's very interesting because you get really behind the investigative scenes. They really let out a lot of the information regarding the serial killer. I know there's a big people are intrigued with serial killers. That it's a popular subject because I think it's because of the unknown. But when you get into this case and as it progresses, you will get behind who this gentleman was. He was, alleged. However, he has been charged with 3 of the murders, possibly a 4th. He was an architect, a father of 2, and married. Lived in the Long Island area, very close to where the bodies were found. They found out that they got into his burner phones. He had approximately 8. The majority of the victims, if not all, were sex workers. He, at that time, back in 2010, found them on Craigslist. Now he was trying to get through to them as the police were watching him. And they said this was very frightening for them because he was still very active at what he was doing. He wasn't murdering people, but he was reaching out to the workers via Tinder. Now, I've always said be very careful with online dating. He was on Tinder. He did 200 Google searches for one of his victims. He was constantly Googling and searching the victims' families, with their whereabouts, where they were, the siblings of the victims. He kept up with his entire case and watched. If you would look at his Google list, he watched everything the task force was doing. And they knew he was watching. And we always know that that's what they want. They want this attention. It's very prevalent with serial killers. They are in the groups online. They get on the family groups online. They watch all of the YouTube channels. They are very into watching their case develop, because this is why a lot of the reason they want to be in the spotlight. They want to see what's happening. So it's a very interesting case. The police, they got his DNA from a pizza box. They went through his garbage, collected his DNA, got the match. They found a match with the burlap sacks that some of the victims were placed in. There were some hairs on those burlap sacks. He was married, and every time one of the murders occurred, his wife and family were out of town. So this is a case that we're going to watch unfold, but just a great job to law enforcement. Really, they used a lot of technology. And one of the officers said today, if you don't think we can't trace you on a burner phone, we can. So for those of you that are using burner phones that think you can't get traced, they can. He had 8 burner phones. The pings on the burner phones were in the areas. They were also in Manhattan, where he worked as an architect. So as this case unfolds, we will watch it. I mean, it's. I've been intrigued with this case for decades. I'm glad they found him. He was like a person you would see at the local grocery store. That's what's so frightening about a serial killer. They're not monsters. They are monsters, but they really blend in with the communities. So be very careful on online dating. That should make you think. But getting ahead for tonight's show, we are going to look at what's going on with the United States. So let's take a look at what is called a United States chart, or a mundane astrology chart. Now, a mundane astrology chart is different than a regular natal chart. The houses are different. The first house is how the people look, the appearance of the country. The second house is finances of the country, the money. The third house, the neighborhoods, the media. So as you can see, they're different. They are different, but they're kind of the same. In the fourth house, that's the homeland. That's the roots. Fifth house, children. What we do for fun in the country. Sixth house, that's day-to-day workers. Seventh house, that is our enemies, actually. So it's open enemies, and it can be legal as well in the seventh house. The eighth house, taxes, debt. This is where it gets interesting. The ninth house, courts, the higher courts, foreign lands. 10th house is the president, the king, the ruler of the country. The 11th house is the legislative branch of a government. Parliament, legislative branch. And the 12th house is what is hidden. Enemies that are hidden. The shady things that go on. Secret societies, prisons, hospitals. That's what's called a mundane astrology chart. Now, there are a lot more, like the third house, trains, transportation, but that's kind of the gist of it. Airports, but that's the gist of a mundane astrology chart when we're looking at the United States solar return. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So what's very interesting, that what appeared on the United States, there we go. Sorry, it looks a little sloppy, but that's okay. That's how I work. That's how a not very organized person works on a chart. If you look in the middle, there's something very, very interesting on the United States' chart, that this is what is going to happen a year out. If you'll see in the very middle, there's a little triangle called a yod. What is a yod? A yod is how planets aspect. It's called the finger of God. It's what's destined to occur. It's destiny. A yod showed up the very first week of July in the U.S. chart. It connects with Pluto, which is transformation, death, and rebirth. With Neptune, illusion, scandals, mistruths. And guess what the trigger was? Mars. This is very, very important coming up, the theme for next year. So, in other words, this shows us a transfer of power. Deceit and scandals and illusions are going to come out and be transformed by, and it's in the fifth house of children. It has to do with something with children. I don't know what that is, but children are in the fifth house. So this yod is going to be triggered and activated. Really, it's the theme of the year of uh, big, big, big truths of deceit and scandals are going to just continue to come out. That's in the U.S. solar chart. We also see in the ninth house of the courts, Uranus is up there with shocking court decisions. What does that mean? There are some aspects that show that it is not in good aspect to what the destiny of the United States or what their soul contract is, what they're supposed to be doing. And it's squaring the ruler of the chart. The ruler of the chart is Mercury. Mercury is communications. Mercury is the media. Mercury is how we talk between one another. So, a big theme of next year is going to be communications, how we talk. A transformation is coming on how we do talk with reform. There's going to be a lot of things occurring within the courts that are going to shock us. Very, very shocking with Uranus. Also, we have Mercury is conjunct the Sun in the house of the legislators, which is Congress. In the United States, it's Congress. In England, I guess it would be Parliament. So Canada, it's whoever the legislative branch of a government is in a country. There's going to be a lot of communications and interesting things spotlighted with the president. The president is always the sun in the chart of the United States. He's always in the 10th house. The sun is represented in the 11th house with the Congress. So I don't know what that is, but let's see how that works out. We also have in the 12th house of secrets and secret enemies, we have Mars. So it may be some things related to, Mars can also be war. It can be the military. It can be information on police. It just depends. So we're going to have some secrets revealed. But I think the biggest thing is the yod for sure, because of the fact that that's just Neptune, with Neptune being there with Pluto. It's a complete transformation with scandals, deceit. It's all coming out with it, and it's destined to be there. That's pretty. Let's see what else we've got. Some health issues that we're all going to be, because Saturn is retrograde. Saturn is moving backwards, that we're going to go over some health issues. Whatever that could be, it's in the house of health for the United States. So it could be, I don't know, health reform. I don't, who knows? Well, it's health issues. That's kind of the gist of the solar return chart in the United States. I think it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of destiny in this solar return. Mercury, it's not a bad solar return chart. It's a lot of communication. That could be more media. I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, it's the way that we communicate to one another. People are going to communicate more. There's a lot of communication in this chart. So it's an interesting year. I look forward to it. It's not a bad solar return chart. Um, I think there's going to be a lot of action within the government, especially with between the legislative and the president. Um, that's very clear. Regarding the homeland, cancer is the homeland um, in the United States chart. I mean, cancer is the home. So I think it's pretty interesting. If anybody has any questions, just holler at me. And Keith said, Heath, not separate Keith. Hi, Keith. He meant you were showing the Otter's Den separate from RNN, but you're not. Otter's Den will be streaming live on Rift Nation after Mysteries. That's what he meant. Sorry about that. Just, but that's the USA solar chart. Now, if you ever want to know what your theme of your natal chart is, you can always ask an astrologer to look up the theme of your year. They're pretty cool. This also shows with Mars in Leo fighting back. There's people who are going to stand up. We've also got, and Keith and I are going to talk about it at 8. The shift that we've got ran into Aries, which is a lot of fighting back. People are standing up. Here comes Aries. So, but that yod, we've actually got about 5 of those to go through, with Mars being the trigger in October. I've never seen that many. So this is a very destined year. And it makes sense because we are in the Pluto return in the United States, which occurs every 250 years. We've never seen a Pluto return in our country. England has had 3, and one of their Pluto returns, it's when everything broke off, and then there was Ireland, Scotland, and England. So things are transformed when Pluto gets a hold of it. It will destroy to bring up the better. I mean, you have to rise from the ashes. Pluto is the phoenix bird. So that's pretty interesting. But so it's not a bad solar return. I was actually pretty happy about it. It could be a heck of a lot worse with a Pluto return right in the middle of it, but it was not. It was really good. So let's get into some natal charts. And I'm going to keep these not so complicated because they're very interesting. There are some things on here that I think you guys will like. It's very interesting. This is President Biden's natal chart. Now he was born, he is a Scorpio. I want you all to look very carefully at his 12th house. We're going to look at his rising sign. What is a rising sign? That is the zodiac sign that was the farthest eastern part of the chart. So that's you. That's your personality. That's who people see you as. His rising sign is a Sagittarius, friendly. Sag rising has a reputation for foot and mouth. They have a tendency to be very blunt. They open mouth, insert foot. But because they're so friendly and likable, people are like, oh, that's just them. So we see a lot of gaffes. That's it. That's the Sag rising. That's the gaffes. So, now remember, this was his natal chart. This is what he was born with. He's got Venus sitting right on that ascendant as well, which makes him very good looking. Even as a younger man, I'm sure if we looked up younger pictures of him, he was very good looking, charming, good looking. But when we see a Scorpio, Keith's going to laugh. When we see what's called a stellium, it's 4 or more signs of one zodiac, like for example, Scorpio, 4 or more in one house. This piles on that energy like no other. He is a Scorpio stellium in the 12th house. What is the 12th house? This is the karmic house. This is the house of undoing. We don't really see the real person with all of those signs in that house. Um, we see somebody that's very friendly and nice, and we are not really seeing the true person because, Scorpio's known for secrets. Scorpio's very secretive. They can keep a secret. And on his chart, he's got some connections to Pluto. They all do because Pluto is power. To be a politician, you have to have planets in the 12th or the 8th house, and you got to have a lot of Pluto because it's power. They all have it. They all have all this power. And this man can tell a secret, keep a secret like nobody else's business because of where Pluto is. He wouldn't budge with a secret. We also note in his birth chart, in his 7th house of marriages and partnerships, Saturn is in there. And, he has a really sad natal chart. There is an absent father that's connected to Neptune, which is abuse. Well, it's like alcohol abuse, and he apparently did have an alcoholic father. I was not aware of that. He did not have a father, much of a father, so that shows up in there. What else do we got in there? He's got he's got an easy chart. He's got an easy birth chart. He doesn't have a lot of oppositions. He's got one bad opposition, but he's really had kind of not a hard life, but not a lot of squares and not a lot of oppositions and not a lot of trials and tribulations. He does have a Uranus that shows on his ascendant. That shows a lot of unexplained things, changes, shocks. Almost he has an aspect where he doesn't quite feel like he belongs in a certain group because up in his 10th house, where his midheaven is, it's where at what everybody sees is called your midheaven. It's your career. Organized, got it together. Not a really tough chart for him. He's lonely, but he's never alone. We went over the father. Oh, there is. I thought, where is this thing about kind of like telling the tall tales? Because he's known to tell tall tales. Sure enough, the Neptune, which is up in the 10th house, which is his career, there it is. It's kind of like and it connects with the dad. So I think daddy probably would come home or told a lot of tall tales. And I think that's just how he was raised, to tell and spin a lot of tales. And that's in there. So, that's basically a lot of his chart. He can have in his 3rd house of communications, there's some aspects where he can have sudden outbursts. Let's see what when you have a 12th house with all of these planets in it, he is his own worst enemy. This is the house of undoing. So he came into this incarnation with some karma that you have to take care of. He had quite a few planets in retrograde, which is unfinished business in a couple of last incarnations. So he needed to take care of that in this house. And one of those with a North Node in Virgo is being organized day to day, getting things done, getting things accomplished. So we'll see. That's his natal chart. He desires a lot of power with that Pluto. And there is like all four of them that I looked at. The ego is there, but I think that's kind of to be expected. Let's see, what else did we come up with him? He had a tough childhood. He's very, very emotional with all of this Scorpio. There's really not a lot of grounding in his chart. He needs to walk around barefoot, like Keith and I talk about. Highly, highly emotional. Actually, very intuitive too. Um, the outburst, unexpected things can happen to him. So and then, of course, I looked at asteroids. Now, when he was born, the asteroid America was in his 11th house, which was the legislative area, America. So that's what he was born with. Asteroid Bida. Yeah, it's an asteroid. Right next to his Pluto. Power. He had very little nurturing. Let's see what else. We got America. And then the other asteroids really don't aspect him too much. But I think that's pretty. Oh, and the Sun conjunct Venus is the touchy-feely. So, I mean, that's just in his chart. Just everybody gets a hug. It comes very natural to him. So, there. Okay, I'm going to welcome. Hey, Keithy.
Hey, I finally made it home.
I'm talking. Have you heard me talking about Biden's chart?
Yeah, I've been listening.
I found the touchy-feely. It's very natural. It's not weird at all. It's Venus on his ascendant. There's nothing he finds it, and that's kind of good to know, I think.
Yeah,
it's
to him it's normal.
Very normal, not weird at all. So I was kind of glad about that. But his birth chart's very sad. Kind of feel bad, but I don't feel bad because you're in where you are. Just put on your big boy panties.
Yes.
But no nurturing, absent father, alcoholic father. It's all there. Dad told tall tales. It's an interesting chart, power chart. But that Scorpio stellium, man. Can you imagine all that Scorpio in the house of karma and undoing? Lots of secrets.
Yeah.
Very, very secret.
Yeah.
So, power tripping with Pluto. That's his chart. Now, I'm going to tell you too that he's got Saturn. You know how we talk about Saturn retrograde back and forth? He's got Saturn retrograde that was in his house of communications, which restricts the communications. A lot of it shows cognitive changes in the brain. That's moved out.
Okay.
Into his 4th house. Now, when that North Node in Aries moves into his 5th house of children, anything the North Node touches, it ignites. Get ready. It's coming. Very deep mind, Scorpio. Very deep thinker.
Yes.
If we don't get through all of them, we'll get through them another time. Okay, I'll let you pick. Who do you want to look at now? Who do you want to look at out of our leaders? We have Putin, Trump, and Zelensky left.
Trump.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I can always do Zelensky and Putin on another show because they're very interesting. What's interesting is Putin is all of this but a Libra.
Really?
Yeah. It's all they always have 12th house backroom shady crap going on. God love them all. I think it's interesting as hell. Okay, let's find okay, that was Biden. Okay. That's Putin. See, look at that 11th, 12th house. Okay.
Oh,
this is Trump. Can you kind of see it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to point out Trump to you. Trump is a rising Leo at the 29th degree, which
Love it.
is the endings. It's a hot, when you've got something at a high degree like that, is very karmic. It's endings. He sits on what is called on the ascendant, the star, which is Regulus. It's the king. It conjuncts his ascendant in Leo. He's all Leo, 100% Leo. He is a Leo. Even the hair is Leo. So he's got Pluto in Leo. He's got Mars in Leo. He's got a rising Leo. He then, if we look up at his midheaven, which is what we all see up at where it says MC,
Yes.
okay, we got Sun in Gemini, North Node right next to his Sun, and Uranus. This is the North Node amplifies the personality. Gemini, what is Gemini? The student, intellect, chatty, quick wit. He literally cannot, I think even as a baby, talked. Didn't stop. Over the top personality. It's all there. It's pretty remarkable to me. Then in his 12th house, if you'll notice, all of the politicians have everything is over in the 10th, 11th, 12th, and rising houses. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. All but one. Zelensky. All but one. So in Trump's, we have daddy two issues. I didn't know that. Apparently we had some daddy minus daddy issues on that one.
Wasn't aware.
I'll tell you what's kind of funny is he's got Venus in the old 12th house hiding. So I think there's been a lot of secret women, but I didn't say that.
Say what?
A lot of secret, Jupiter, he's got aspects that get him in a lot of trouble with women. He gets in trouble with women. If you look in his 5th house, that's all the hotels. That's the business. That's where his moon is.
Okay.
A moon conjuncts his south node in Sag. Fun. He's a lot of fun. That's all the hotels. That's his business. It's where he makes money.
Yeah.
Where do we get in trouble at? The 9th house is getting him into some trouble with. We're going to talk about Aries. Going back into Aries. The North Node is going to hit his house of legal issues. It's going to amplify more legal issues and problems coming up. He is so over the top. It's all over this chart. He really can't. When you look at somebody's chart and a lot of the issues on here, it's like, man, dude, stop the Twitter, stop this, stop that. I don't think he can. He's so over the top. Works very, very, very hard. Majority of his gains have come through partnerships, deals, because of his hard work on that MC. It's mind-boggling how over the top this personality is. It's a very karmic chart. He's trying to think of what else is on here. Oh, his sun is in great aspect to Jupiter. What's Jupiter? Abundance. It's blessings.
Okay.
So it's almost like nothing you throw at this man is going to ever stick. With that sun trining Jupiter, I don't see how any of these legal issues will ever stick. I don't see it. He's one of those people that has natural luck in a casino, at the racetrack. My mom could walk in a casino and hit and was always lucky. He's got that.
I don't.
I don't either. He does. Everything he touches. I think he's very secretive about money too. about his financial dealings as well. Maybe he has more money than he says, or he doesn't. I don't know. But it's very secretive.
As he's developing a deal, I'm sure he's keeping everything tight-lipped, so nobody has a chance to come in and take something out from under him.
What else can we find out about him? Oh, a lot of backroom shady deals with Mercury. That Regulus is really cool too. And then another thing. Let's look at the asteroids where they were when he was born. I'm gonna look for America.
Okay.
America was, I think it was conjunct to him. I'll have to look. I think asteroid America was up in his 11th house. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. Now, you had asked, we had talked about election night and looking at his transits. Now, I did that.
Okay.
I don't know if I have a chart. I don't think I have a chart on his transits. I don't. But I'm going to tell you about him. Now, I don't know if he's going to run or not. He's going to run. I don't know if he'll make it, because I'll tell you that North Node up in the legal issues is really pretty tough.
Yeah, they're trying to take him down so he can't run.
Well, you know what? With Aries up there, that North Node, I don't know. He's got to learn, North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra, the art of diplomacy. The art of a Libra, being a partner, not all about me, up there. But the thing about it is, irregardless if it's election or not, I don't care what anybody says. He's got gains from his career, flaunts his wealth. I put that down. He flaunts his wealth. But that's okay, man. I would flaunt it too if I made that kind of money.
Not wrong.
Now, on the night of the election, Uranus conjuncts his midheaven. As you know, and you've been around me enough, when what Uranus touches is shocking. So it's what we see. Whatever happens is going to shock us. It's the last hit of the Pluto return. Pluto is back in 29 Capricorn. It is the last day of the Pluto return hit, is the day of that election. Now you tell me how that happened.
Good question.
It is at 29 degrees the very last day. The moon is a great aspect to his 6th house, which is the people. The moon are the people. The biggest thing that he's got going on is Jupiter, transit Jupiter, is right mixing energy with his sun, Uranus, and his North Node. Jupiter is the biggest, most favorable aspect I've seen. Transiting Venus is conjunct his moon. His Mars is into Leo. I mean, he really, the night of the election, whatever it is, it's good news for him. So maybe, maybe he doesn't make it. Maybe he'll get out of jail. Who knows? Maybe it's a get out of jail free card. I don't know. Okay, is that interesting enough for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that crazy? It's crazy, isn't it?
Yes.
It's very, very interesting. He can be in some his mouth, that 3rd house with Neptune, his little mouth gets him into some scandals too, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that it does.
Yeah, it does.
Thing is, he doesn't care.
That's that over the top, man, and that's what gets him in trouble. He's got to care. He's got to. He's got to.
I won't disagree with you there.
Okay, we got time for one more. Who do you want to look at? Putin or Zelensky is very, very interesting when we've looked at the other two. Zelensky is a contrast to what you have seen on these other two leaders.
Okay.
Do you want to look at his real quick?
Yeah, sure.
And then we'll break and then come back for your show.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Gail says it's always been about the children. You know, in Gail, that's true. In the U.S. chart, the solar chart, it's Pluto making a complete transformation, and it's in the fifth house of children, and it's Pluto, and it's saying, that's it. So whatever it has to do with children, it's it. Pluto is right there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's going to hit too. Okay, let me find his chart. I think he was okay. Now look at this chart, Keith. How different it is from the others.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
first,
A
he
lot
is.
more spread out.
Yeah, look at it's all over to the right.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, he's a Gemini rising. Creative, quick wit, but you know how that goes. Chatty, duality, hopeful, optimistic. He's very likable with Jupiter sitting there. Okay? Because there's a lot of unfinished business in that area because Jupiter, he was born with that in retrograde. His sun, he's an Aquarius. Sun and Venus combined, which is legal in the ninth house of foreign. He's a lawyer. I didn't know he was a lawyer. Did you know that?
No.
Okay, what's funny is in his fifth house, North Node, Pluto, Libra. There's the law and lawyer again. However, the fifth house is famous. It's entertainment. He was a comedian. It aspects Neptune, which is film, videos. Can also be deceit and delusion. His third house, Moon is in Leo, which means he's got a strong presence on the stage. This man is an actor. He's an actor.
Which would be helpful as a lawyer.
Well, that's true, but this man is very creative. He's popular. He's got a Mercury in Capricorn. The majority of comedians have that because of their dry humor. Everything that you would look at in this man's chart would be, well, he's a famous actor. He's famous like with Hollywood or acting. So it's like, is this a president that's acting? Is this an actor being a president or a president being an actor?
Right.
I don't know. There's one placement in here that's a little Mars is conjunct. The aspect brings out the worst in men. The thing about it is Saturn is up in his midheaven, going back and forth, restricting him completely as a transit. You know, he's a happy guy, happy-go-lucky, fun, friendly. Everybody loves him. But that Saturn up there is going to restrict him. There's no way that this will ever be a victory for them. There's just no way.
Yeah.
Not with that Saturn up there. That, you know, he's got stuff in the eighth house. It's all famous, being a famous person. Entertainment, movies, hopeful, optimistic. People like him. Now, what's funny is in his ninth house, it's foreign. Foreign people, he's more popular with foreign allies and foreign people than he is with his home people.
Interesting.
Now, that's what he was born with. I think that's pretty interesting. So I'm kind of giving you like the real quick 411 with him. I think that's about it with him. But it's a lot of acting, a lot of creative person. That would be like somebody like you'd want, like Johnny Depp or Amber Heard, or somebody that's creative and
Yeah.
famous. So it would be like, that guy's a president of a country where?
Well, look at Ronald Reagan. He was an actor. He became president.
Yeah, but I bet his chart says differently.
Probably.
I bet his chart says differently. So we can look at Putin's very quickly if you want.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to,
Yeah, sure.
we'll do it like in 3 or 4 minutes and then
Okay.
get ready for Otto's Den.
Sounds
That
good.
is really interesting. I think it's very interesting to see the person, the real person. You know what I mean? There's Trump. Okay, that's kind of a weird Putin chart, but I did it like that. I don't know why. But as you can see, you've got things over to the left.
Yeah.
I didn't put all the asteroids and stuff on this one. America's up at his up in his 9th house of foreign. So that's what he was born with. At his midheaven is asteroid Ukrainia. So it's a little odd, isn't it?
That's interesting.
Yeah. Um, asteroid Vladimir is on his in his 6th house, Vladimir.
Okay.
Now, if you look at him, he's got a loaded 12th house of Libra. He's a rising Scorpio. Well, what does that make? It makes a spy, KGB, great detective. He was a KGB guy.
Yeah.
All that Libra, he studied international law. He had a law degree. Every one of these people, except for Trump, is a lawyer. He's got, of course, the House of Undoing, again, karmic house of the 12th house. He likes balance. He likes relationships. He's intellectual. He doesn't like this war. A Libra is the peacemaker.
Yeah.
They absolutely hate this. He doesn't like it at all. He's got a moon. His moon is in Gemini. Oh, Trump was also born during a lunar eclipse, by the way.
Really?
Yes. Now, you want to hear something interesting? I don't know how true it is or not, but
Okay.
when you have your lunar nodes in the 4th and 10th house, and I think Trump did too, it can mean, and I'm going to have to research this, that you were on your last incarnation a different gender.
Really?
Yeah. But him, and I think Trump as well would have been women in their last incarnations.
Interesting.
Kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Now, he's got Venus on his ascendant. That's that Scorpio magnetism. That's that allure, the sexuality of a Scorpio, the magnetism. It's unbelievable. The eyes, it's all in his eyes. It's crazy. What else? Oh, South Node, many past lives as a leader in Leo. Ego, pride, he desires respect. The North Node comes in here saying, dude, you've got to learn to deal with the collective. Got to learn to deal with the collective. Not all about you and your power. He's got a lot of power aspects too. There's some delusional things in here as well. His stellium is very harmonious to his nodal axis. A skillful diplomat, or does he use Pluto? It depends on how he uses Pluto. He could either use it as a skilled diplomat or a bad guy. It's right up there, up in Leo.
Okay.
So how does he use it? He's a very skilled diplomat.
Yeah,
very,
he is.
Very brilliant. His Mars energy is where he gets the resources, see, with money. very wealthy. Uses the homeland's resources for wealth and wealth opportunities that usually come in with partnerships and relationships. You know, he's got close personal friends where he has made a lot of money. Let's see what else. You know, a lot of this power that he's got, um, it's up to him. You know how he uses that Pluto power. Let's see what else. Very intellectual. Very, with that, he's a bright man.
He is very intelligent.
He's a visionary. He's psychic too. He's got Neptune conjunct Mercury. That makes for a really big psychic. A psychic.
Okay.
So he's psychic. He goes along with his own philosophies, and if he doesn't believe in it, he's going to develop a new way, and it's going to be his way or no way. It's his way or no way. You know, that's why I think him and Trump, it's their way or no way.
Yeah,
It's my way or the highway.
pretty much.
So, but that's a look at them. You know, looking at their transits is a whole nother show. Just to say this is going on with them. He's certainly got some health issues, but there's nothing major. Not like what is reported.
Yeah.
Nothing major with health issues with him. So that is our leaders and their natal
All right.
charts. I thought it was pretty interesting. What do you think?
I thought it was.
Gives us a pretty good idea of what we're dealing with.
Absolutely.
All power.
Yeah.
All power. So, well, you guys, thank you for joining in and stick with us for the Otter's Den. So we will hop off here and then hop back on for the Otter's Den streaming on RNN. And then next week, the family of Valerie, she was missing, her mother Kathy, and search and rescue Miss Tammy Johnson. So see you then. See you next week. And thanks for tuning in. See y'all at 8
Thanks.
with the Otter's Den.